Hey, this is Alicia with Simpson Math, and in this video, we're going to be talking about discrete distributions and how we can use Desmos to find the mean, the standard deviation, the variance, graph it, and even use it to find some quick probabilities. So let's take a look at the two examples that we're going to be looking at. I looked at them in a previous video where I do all the work, and I show an older version of Desmos, but Desmos has recently made a really nice update, so that's what I want to go over here. So this is an example where we're talking about a roulette wheel, and we're going to place a corner bet, so that is to put the chip right here, signifying that if the ball lands on one of those four, we would win. Well, if we don't win, which is pretty likely, if we place a $1 bet, we lose the dollar, so that's why we have a -1. There's a probability that happens 34 out of 38 times, because every slot is equally likely, and there's 38 total slots. I know that it says 36 here, but there are two zeros, a 0 and double 0. But if we do happen to win, we get our bet back plus an additional 8, so that is a net gain of $8, and that happens 4 out of 38 times. Well, in the previous video, we saw that the average payout is actually a loss. We are losing, the house, the casino is gaining. So the casino is actually gaining on average just under a nickel, actually just over a nickel. They're gaining a 1/19th, or we're losing on average 1/19th of a dollar. And then we further talk about how we can find the standard deviation and the variance using this mathematical process. Watch that video for that explanation. Today we're just talking about the tech. Then the other situation was at Simpson Math. My husband and I, we run an Etsy shop. We have this T-shirt about lemon meringue pie, or our we have. Sorry, I'm rambling. I'm stuttering. We have our enamel pins as our main driver that we're doing. So this is an enamel pin that matches the shirt. So we have enamel pins for sale. And at one point, I looked at our data and I saw the number of pins that were purchased in a single transaction. In 75% of our transactions, people just bought one pin. 15% people bought 2 pins, 5% 3 pins, 4% 4 pins, and only 1% of the time someone bought 5 pins. So we can do a similar mathematical process. But in the previous video, I talked about how we could use technology to speed that up. But today we're going to be looking at how to use Desmos and their new feature to speed that up. All right, so let's look at Desmos. So this is the pin example done, already set up. I will show you in just one second how we can get the setup, but I just want to show you what it looks like once we have it up and running. So because there's this weird kind of code looking thing, I'll show you how Desmos gets that, makes that happen. It's a real nice interface. And it starts toggled closed here. Our cumulative probability and our summary. They've actually added this summary on all of our probability distributions, so that you can toggle it open to get the median, the mean, the standard deviation, variance on pretty much, I think, all of our, like the normal, the binomial, all of those. So if we toggle both of those open, this is a similar, very familiar way of finding probabilities. It's not too hard for these probabilities because we're just adding them up. I like to manually make the inner probability go from the minimum to the maximum, the 1 to the 5. I believe it defaults to finding the median, which is 1, and it just sandwiches it. I think its default was grayed out. If I delete these, it defaults to 1 to 1 to 1, which is the median. But I notice when I do that 1 to 1, just the 1 bar is showing up, and all these others are grayed out. So I want those to be visible, just so I could see them. So 1 to 5. I actually just saw that I could just put in the 1 and it defaults to an infinity. How about that? But just reinforce small to big, 1 to 5. Okay. So that's it. You can do the similar thing. If I wanted to find the probability that you get, if I get 3 or more, I could do the area to the right, find the probability to the right and type in the 3. Notice it has an equal to, so 3 or bigger, and it's just adding up 5%, 4%, 1% to get 10%. All right, let's put that back to 1 to 5. Okay, but we're here to be able to quickly find the mean and the standard deviation variance. And they're right here. Under summary, we have our values: mean, median, standard deviation, variance. Often the mean and the standard deviation will be fractions. They're not real interesting fractions on this example. The next one they are, with the roulette wheel they are. But let's say that me, your instructor, or someone else is asking for the standard deviation, but they want 4 decimal places or more than what's here. So if you move your cursor over any of these and hover for a second, my mouse I made a little bit big so it covers it up. There we go. This is export to the expression list. So just click it. And what it does is it exports it down here. Don't worry about the code that Desmos is using. That's Desmos being able to talk to itself. You click this and it spit it down here. And so the standard deviation, STDEV, is the standard deviation of D1. D1 is this thing here. And so what it does, it gives you a whole lot more decimal places. Remember, the variance is often going to be a fraction. It often is going to terminate, and it could be expressed as a fraction. Here, it's not a very interesting fraction, but that often is the case. So just click those buttons, and they drop down. And like I said, here's the mean. All right. So how did this happen? So let me actually clear this out, make all of this go away. I have extra rows here just so that way I can scroll up and down. And then I'm also going to make this be from -10 to 10. So I'm just imagining I've opened Desmos up. I've optionally made this be a little bit bigger so we can see all the bits and pieces. So let's take you through the steps. I'm going to pop open my iPad over here. So we're looking at the number of pins sold. One thing just to point out is that when we type this into Desmos, we're going to be putting it into a vertical table instead of the horizontal one that I had written earlier. Both of those forms are fine and acceptable in our stats class. We should see them both ways. So I've just made it be vertical. We are going to, the x's, instead of it being on top, they are going to be on the left, and the probabilities on the right. All right, so I'm going to make that go away for a second. I might pop it back up just to make sure I have the numbers right. You could have your cursors selected on one of these rows. If you have it on one of these rows, it's going to add it to that specific one. If you don't have anything selected, it's just going to add it to the top. So we're going to click on this plus here to add an item. Click on the plus. Then move your cursor down and select inference. I know we're not doing inference, but this is where Desmos has put all of the kind of more advanced statistical features under inference. So select inference. And this graphical user interface pops up. We're not doing actual inference today. We're dealing with our probability distribution, so select that. It defaults to normal. We're not doing normal today, so let's toggle this open. And you see 8 options. We have a new option here added, which is this discrete distribution. Just to point out, we have this line right here. That line separates the top part, which are the continuous distributions, and the bottom ones, which are our collective discrete distributions. We have 3 named discrete distributions, and this one is just any old discrete distribution that we define. So let's pick that one. So we have our column on the left are the values, or the x that we had in our table earlier, and then the weights. Do notice it says optional. If you don't have any values in the weights, it's just going to default to equal weights all the way across. So let's type in our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just was pressing enter between each row. So 1, enter, 2, enter. You could do the same thing with the on-screen keyboard, but I'm just assuming you have a real keyboard. So 1, enter, 2, enter, all the way down. Notice this button is blue, it's active. You could click it and make it work. You probably don't do it if you're following along with me. Just watch. If I do, I don't see that second set of probabilities. And notice they have them all equal. This is a way to get a uniform distribution, a uniform discrete distribution. So we have 5 objects. They're all going to be 1/5 or 0.2. Well, I don't want that. Let me undo, make that go away. And let's just do this again. So plus, inference, probability distribution, drop down arrow, go to discrete. I'm going to put in my values, 1, enter 2, all the way down to 5. And then now I'm going to put in my data values. So I have 0.75. Notice once I've done that, I can't create the distribution. I'm trying to click on it, but it's not letting me. That's because it needs to have the data is kind of paired. I need the x's, every x needs to have its probability. So until the lists match, then we can't click this button. Let me open up the thing just so I can make sure we're all good. So yeah, so I'm getting these numbers from these right here. All right, so let me fill that in, make this go away because it kind of gets in the way. So we have 0.15, 0.05, 0.04, and 0.01. Do always make sure that this adds to 1, because if you're doing a probability distribution, it should add to 1. If somehow it doesn't add to 1, What Desmos is going to do is, because Desmos wants to work, it doesn't want to break, and there could be a reason that it might be okay with it, but what it does is it normalizes it, so it's going to adjust it to kind of force all of them to fit to one. But probably if you're in an introductory stat class or AP stats or something like that, this column should add to one, and you might have just mistyped. So always just double check those numbers. I mean the whole table, but make sure that these add to one. All right, let's first create distribution. And this is just like what we had when we started. Here's our summary values and the cumulative probability here. So from 1 to 5, if I wanted them all to be lit. All right, let's make this go away and let's do the other one. So let's see if you know what to do. I'm going to press the plus, go to the inference. What next? Go to the probability distribution, then go to the drop down, and now we're going to select discrete distribution. And now we can just type in our values for the roulette. So for the roulette, for the $1 corner bet, we're going to do -1, -8, -1. So we just do I just did the dash on my keyboard, -1 and 8. I think it's the -8, misspoke. -1, +8. Then come over here, and we can just type in the fraction as is. So 34. Do one of the forward slashes on your keyboard, /38 to get into your the denominator, or you could use the on-screen keyboard and do 4/38. So for my on-screen keyboard, I can do 4 and then the divide by 38. And then press create distribution. All right, and so here our cumulative probability, notice it's centering around the median, but let's say I want it to go from -1 to 8. Actually, just put that -1 and then highlights the whole thing so I can see it. And then my summary. So toggle open the summary, and here's the mean and standard deviation values that we just saw when I scrolled through on my iPad a second ago. Remember the mean I said was a -1/19, but it just has this decimal? Well, let's click this to export it out to the list. Over here, do you see how we have a fraction switcher? It's not terminating because -1/19 doesn't terminate. It is rational, but it does repeat. It does produce a pretty gnarly repeat. So just press this button and it toggles it to the fraction, -1/19. So it knows that it is that fraction. Same thing with the variance, it should be a fraction. The standard deviation won't be, it's irrational because it's a square root of a not perfect square. So that's why it's just going to be this decimal approximation. All right, so that's the down and dirty of it. For almost probably all problems you're going to do, I would follow those steps that I just showed you. I'm going to show you two other ways that you could interact with the discrete distribution. One is with a predefined, you have two lists already, or a table. They work just the same. So just to show that to you real fast, I have two lists defined. One's called payout, the other is prob. And so I put payout in the first section, prob in the second, and I got the same output we just saw. Let me kind of walk through that. You remember lists in Desmos can need to be defined with a single letter, but you can get away with subscripts. So I think it's a little bit fancy. Sometimes, especially with payout and probability, they're both two P's. Maybe you don't want two P's. I mean, obviously we can't just have two P's, so we would need some sort of subscript, and we can actually put a word there. So maybe instead of payout, maybe we want to say net. So I'm going to delete this and say net. I'm going to start with the end. Notice this broke down here because it's looking for payout, and payout doesn't exist anymore. So it kind of broke, it's grayed out. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. So I want net, net for the net payout, but N is a weird thing in stats. It means the sample size. So I want net. So how do I get the subscript? Again, this is just a little bit of an advanced fancy thing. How do I want the subscript? If I just type net, that's not a list anymore. Desmos doesn't like that. I want to get the E and the T down below. So I'm going to press Shift and the dash to get the underscore. And then now my cursor is down below and I can just type in ET and now it looks like net. Or using the on-screen keyboard. There we go. On-screen keyboard, my cursor is after the N. Come over to the ABC. Then you see the A subscript B. You can click that. Cursor moves down below ET. This is, it's not a required thing to do. It's just nice if you already have it in a list. And maybe you don't want prob, you just want P, net and P. Let me show you how we can do this in the probability distribution. So I went off on a tangent. Why would you want to do this? again, 100% of the time, almost, let's say almost 100% of the time, do what we just did, just type it into the interface. But let's say you already had the numbers in a list, you don't have to type them again. So plus, inference, probability distribution, discrete distribution. The numbers are here. I don't want to type them again, so I'm going to type net in underscore et for the net. Notice how if it doesn't know it, Desmos is going to put a little red outline. It's like, I don't know what in underscore e is. Oh, in underscore et, I know what that is. It's -1 and 8. And then come over here and just put in p. If I put in L or O or any other number around it, it doesn't know it. It was showing up as red. But with the p, it's like, oh, I know what that is. And so create the distribution, and this is what we had earlier. Very similar. What if you had the data in a table? So the table defaults to x1, y1, so you can just put an x1, y1 here. Let me just show you how you do that. So if you need a table, come to the plus, put in a table, put in the numbers. You can actually edit what these things are called. You could put in the list. You could put in the whatever we called them before, the net and the p. You could put that in up here. It's using x2, y2 because we're going to hit x1, y1 there. I already have my list, so I'm going to keep it. I'm going to put my cursor here. Notice how this one's blue. If I don't and I do the plus, it's going to stick the inference up top, which is fine, but I want it here, so I'm going to click here, and so this one's blue. Hit the plus, inference, probability distribution, discrete distribution, and this time I want x1, y1. So one thing that's nice about subscripts, numerical subscripts, if you have a single letter, actually probably even more than that, but if you have letters followed by a number, it's going to make that number be a subscript. So I'm not moving my cursor into the subscript. I'm just doing a 1, and it automatically makes it be a subscript. So a little bit faster for the y1, y1. Here we go. I'm using the on-screen keyboard just so you can see that I'm not going crazy. Y1. I don't have to do the subscript. When the subscript is a number, and you put it after the letter. So there we have that. It knows x1, it knows y1, so the button works, and here's the values that we just saw. All right, so I hope this helps. Especially, I think it does. I think it's great. It's a big time saver for being able to find the mean, standard deviation, variance super fast. If your instructor or teachers wanting you to show the work, or especially get a fractional answer, make sure we get that fractional answer, or do some of the work to get us to that point. And if we're showing work, it is perfectly fine to be able to do the dots to be able to communicate that I know how to do the work. Look at me setting up the work. I'm just not wanting to write all those numbers down. So show the first or second, the last. All right. I hope this helped you get a grip on how to use the new Desmos feature, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.